Council meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Dave.
Okay, we have some changes to the agenda. Based on the work session, under item 10.109, it would be on the third line to conduct a community survey for 2010, an estimated annual cost of $12,550 for survey type A. Under 10.110, it's a request to abandon part of storm sewer easement at 118 East Michigan, and then also on the third line down, after adopt or not adopt the resolution to abandon part. Also, we're moving 0646 Village Marketplace and Lofts to after item 10.110. And I think that's all the changes that I have for the agenda. Is there any other additions or changes to the agenda? If not, do we have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved. Second.
Move Rhodes, second Ivy. We need a motion to excuse Mr. Little.
We need to vote on
Oh,
that.
sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have a motion to excuse Mr. Little?
Moved. Second.
Move Morrow, second Ivy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Scott's here. So I have an opportunity tonight, as per the city charter, to speak about the state of the city for Saline. Thank you for the opportunity to report on the state of our great city. It is an honor to share good news in these trying times. Thanks to the excellent relationships with our businesses, schools, community organizations, and citizens, our town has a very positive outlook for our future. I'm happy to report that our city is maintaining a stable financial position while continuing to support and invest in the most important attributes of successful 21st century cities. Our downtown contributes significantly to our community identity and quality of life. The city recently was accepted into the Main Street, Michigan program as an associate. This national program has been instrumental in significant improvements in downtowns around the country. The program has a toolkit of options for building a stronger, healthier downtown in partnership with all of the stakeholders. The city has already been partnering with the Chamber and the Downtown Merchants Association to coordinate multiple events. This program will leverage the current activities into a more coordinated and successful approach. We are also looking for opportunities to continue to beautify the downtown, the latest of which are the hanging flower baskets at the four corners. We've gotten very positive feedback on this program and intend to extend the baskets further down each street. I'm also delighted to report that there have been significant economic development activities occurring in our downtown. After several years of sitting empty, an important building, formerly known as Kelly's, will be opening once again. The purchase of the building by the Tormina family, who also owns Mickey's Dairy Twist, and are active partners in the Saline business community, is very exciting for our community. They will be opening a family-style restaurant called Mangiano's. Is that right? They're in the audience. Did I pronounce it wrong? Mangiamo with an M. Okay. I got it. They're here in the audience, so thank you. This fall. The former R&B building, also, Andy's here too, comprising over 65,000 square feet, was purchased by local business Sun Engineering for offices and manufacturing. This will bring added investment and additional foot traffic to our downtown. In addition, the high-tech company Quantum Signal has completed a purchase agreement, subject to some contingencies, to buy Union School and locate their offices there. Again, this will bring an additional 30-plus people to our downtown economy. Financially, Saline is in a healthy position with an estimated 30% fund balance at June 30th. We are fortunate to be experiencing significant investment by businesses in our community. Sherry Trier and Flat Out Bread Company are undergoing building expansions. The ACH facility expanded its production equipment by adding $45 million worth of high-tech equipment. Operationally, the city is continually evaluating opportunities for cost savings and efficiencies. Our budget for next year is stable without any change to our current millage. Our 5-year financial analysis has enabled us to minimize financial swings in our bottom line by responding in a timely manner to potential crises. Recent examples include cutting back on capital projects when the potential for ACH closure arose, and the layoff of 9% of our employee base when property values were significantly trending down. This year, city management found additional savings by replacing the DPW director position with an internal candidate, thereby reducing yet again our total employee base. implementation of the operational review recommendations, and accessing financial consulting expertise through the SEMCOG benchmarking program have provided the city with more effective financial management. We cannot continue to reduce staffing without a reduction in services. We are hoping the economy will improve so that we can maintain the high level of service that Saline is known for. Communicating with our citizens and businesses is a key factor in the success of our community. Relying on analyses of revenue trends, demographics, and research on best practices enables us to develop effective plans for our future. While all of our planning processes include public meetings and hearings, we are using our updated website as our most effective tool to communicate the final report. On our website, cityofsaline.org, you will find multiple documents that outline the vision for our community. Our 2010-2011 budget, adopted in June, was added today. The city's strategic plan, used to prioritize our goals across the spectrum of city services, was recently added. The Parks Commission completed the 2010 Recreation Master Plan this spring, and you can find this in the Parks section. This document assists us in coordinating efforts for accessing grants and improving healthy living and recreation in the city. Please spend some time reviewing the website and learning about the city priorities and goals. We will be sending our biennial citizen survey shortly to find out your opinion of our city. I hope you will participate in our information gathering so that we may more effectively serve you, and I hope that you find our updated website a useful tool. Other important facets of a viable 21st century community include consideration of our environment and implementing green initiatives. Our Environmental Commission has been active in acquiring storm drain markers through a county grant. These markers protect our water system and will be installed by community volunteers. Additionally, they have identified recycle containers to be located in our downtown, and a report was just completed on the opportunities for green initiatives in city operations. Our community is fortunate to have an active arts and culture environment. There are actually arts committees meeting right now in our conference room. The 212 Arts Center, in partnership with the Saline District Library and the Saline Rec Center, has developed a new program for our young people, in addition to the Arts on the Go in our parks. Look for the windsocks around town that artists and our youth have created to enliven our landscape. Check out the events calendar for Make a Splash on their website, 212arts.org, for fun family activities. Our Arts and Culture Committee is working on a public art installation that could be used also as street furniture. They are also participating in the Countywide Arts Alliance program and plan to add a Saline site to the County Art Walk this fall. The community continues to support and enjoy outdoor events and festivals. Our summer music concert series continues every Friday night through August 13th with a variety of musical genres. The annual Summer Fest, August 6th and 7th, will have lots of arts and crafts, music, and fun activities for all ages. Harvest of the Arts and Oktoberfest will be held September 25th, hosting a fine art show, puppet festival, and promotion of the culture of our sister city in Lindenberg, Germany. Keep up to date on all the exciting events by joining bsaline.org, our events website. This week is Celtic Festival Week. In its 14th year, the festival celebrates Celtic heritage in our sister city in Brecon, Wales. Activities start Thursday evening and run through Saturday night. Please look at the website, salineceltic.org, to see the myriad of choices and find out where you can buy tickets in advance for a $5 discount. In summary, it is clear from this address that we have an active and vibrant community. We are a community that supports its residents and businesses, and the support is reciprocated by investment and participation in our city activities. I hope we see you out and about at one of our venues, whether it's fishing in the park or dancing in the streets. Thank you for helping our city employees and our city council make Saline a great place to be. Okay, next on the agenda, we have our school superintendent, Scott Creighton. I'm going to talk about the millage proposal for August vote.
First, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I will promise to be brief, but I do have an some important information to share about an August 3rd ballot proposal, essentially a school bond proposal that we put on the school board in May of this year, elected to place on the ballot for August 3rd a $28 million bond proposal, effectively offering something as a bond extension, and I'll talk about that a little bit as I go through the presentation. First, why do we need a bond proposal? Clearly, the mayor talked about some of the great things going on in the city of Saline. We have a great school system that supports hopefully the city as well as 6 other townships or portions of them. Certainly our students are our greatest asset, and our opportunity with this bond proposal is to support our students, but also to support the comprehensive educational programs and keep our general fund dollars in the classroom going through instructional services. The other one opportunities we have is to improve safety and security for our students. And I'll touch on some of those things later. Retain the value of our facilities. Obviously, our building, our land, and our equipment, they're major investments for the community and major investments for our residents. We want to make sure that we continue to maintain them effectively. And also, as again, to say, to kind of drive some of our general fund dollars, our operational dollars into our classroom. The goals of the bond proposal: security access at our elementary buildings. We want to adjust in our entry points at several of our elementaries, not all, to push pedestrian or visitor traffic right through our offices during our school hour times. Technology and busing needs. In the past 3 years, we've purchased both buses and technology from our general fund. We'd like to allocate those dollars that we are currently spending in our general fund to our classroom, an opportunity to really upgrade our technology infrastructure. Our existing bond issues are done. And so for us to purchase technology hardware, a bond proposal right now is our only way to do that without taking significant resources away from our operational side. Of note, of the 10 public schools districts in Washtenaw County, 8 currently have bond issues. Frankly, for Saline to remain competitive, having access to bond dollars for those capital type needs is really the way that districts are handling that right now. We want to make sure that we continue to stay competitive in the current environment. Parking and traffic improvements to improve vehicle and pedestrian safety. We're able to make some improvements through a partnership with the Saline District Library at our current middle school facility. We've adjusted some things. Those of you familiar, I know Chief Bunton's not here today, but Woodland Drive, we've adjusted some things related to our Woodland Drive site and trying to bring traffic on campus. So for this year, we'll parent pick up and drop off at Woodland Meadows and Heritage. Will be on the opposite side. It will be kind of what we tried to do is bring it internally and allow for the staging to occur inside the campus area and not on the roadway on Woodland Drive. We feel like we have an effective temporary plan for this year that can accommodate that. It's not clear as to whether or not that plan is one that will meet the test of time. So we've started to look at some initial reconfiguration options internally to be able to stage additional traffic there, and again, keep the backup traffic that typically has occurred on the roadway on our own campus. Also to allow for, we have a plan that would allow for direct access to the senior center. As part of that reconfiguration, they would come in by what is current the one-room schoolhouse there, access around our bus facility in order to be able to get right to that facility without necessarily having to come either up through the Liberty campus area or down through the middle school area. Heating and cooling, we have some replacement and upgrades needs that would allow us to become more energy efficient. We have an opportunity at our new high school to look at some repurposing and switching to some green energy opportunities using the roof, both for plant growth but also for solar energy, and we'd like to be able to explore it. For us to explore that and really determine whether or not some capital costs would have a return on investment. We know we would need to do that with bond dollars and not with our general fund. Certainly the goal is to support 21st century educational opportunities. The purchase of technology, the purchase of hardware for our students and for our faculty and for our staff will be accommodated through the bond proposal. We have some roof renovations that over the next several years, the existing roofs on some of our facilities are due for replacement over the next 5 to 7 years. The proposal that we have before the voters on August 3rd would allow us to have those dollars in place for those types of renovations. We do want to make sure that we have up-to-date wireless networks available in all of our buildings, both internal networks as well as public Wi-Fi. As many of our student resources and our faculty resources move to the web, we know we need to make sure that our network is strong and capable of handling the increased bandwidth that mobile devices in the hands of our students, mobile devices in the hands of our community that are in our schools will need to have. And this will be an opportunity for us to really maintain that, and certainly become that 21st century learning environment that we want to have. And ultimately, it is about maintaining the quality instructional environment that we feel we have now, but certainly for us to continue to remain competitive, access to these types of resources is something that we would value. Why now? Honestly, one of the drivers, and I'll get into now a little bit of why we talked about August 3rd. About a year and a half ago, we applied to the state for state-qualified bonds, which would allow us to get interest-free bonds. It was part of the ARRA program. We were notified in March that we qualified for a little over $12 million in interest-free bonds. For us to access those, we would have to be able to commit to that by September 30th. At that point, not having a May election anymore, the August 3rd date was the only available election date that will allow us to do so prior to that September 30th date. If we were to bring the same bond proposal back either in November or in February, our interest costs would increase by approximately $6.9 million. Frankly, the cost of capital right now is very low, and the board felt that they should put this on the ballot and allow the voters to decide if that cost of capital was such that they felt it necessary. The BAB bond program is the Build America bonds. Those are, again, a federal program where you get a tax rebate or a rebate on the interest costs you do pay. Again, that factors into those additional cost of letting the bonds go. No millage rate increase is needed. The $28 million figure does not require that the board increase the current 7.0 mill rate, and I'll explain a little bit more about that a little bit later. Certainly, interest rates, construction, and material costs are at all-time lows. Speaking to a fellow superintendent familiar with the current Van Buren, Belleville High School is being replaced, and their bids were coming in 25% below their estimates. And so they are seeing extremely low construction costs right now. Certainly, it's something with a $28 million bond. We have a lot, as you can tell from the proceeding, we have a lot of little, smaller projects. We hope that would also be an opportunity. The board has expressed publicly their desire to pass a local preference resolution and try and make sure that the work that would be generated from the construction would remain local. It certainly allows us to focus our operational costs on the classroom. That is a lot of small writing. That is the actual ballot language. I wanted people to be able to see exactly. It's a lot of words, but it does talk a little bit about, in the middle of this section, that the estimated millage should be levied for the proposed bonds next year under the current law is 0. Essentially, we're talking about a tax that really comes into play after 2025. So that's the ballot language. What is the difference between a bond proposal and a sinking fund? This is a question I've got quite a bit recently. A bond proposal is something that we collect the funds up front, which is one of the primary kind of selling factors for a bond. We would generate $28 million in capital that could be expended for the benefit of the district as soon as those bonds are sold. One of the downsides is the interest costs for selling bonds. That's why now with the opportunities we have between the state qualified bonds and the Build America bonds, we feel now would be an appropriate time. And certainly the bond proposal is allowing it to use for technology, hardware, and buses is something that we feel is an asset to us. The difference on a sinking fund, it's pay as you go. It's certainly the sinking fund continues to be the most efficient way to generate infrastructure capital in that you don't have to sell bonds, you don't have any interest costs. However, you don't generate a large amount of capital up front. In order to fund larger scale projects, you would need to essentially save and hold those funds down the road for additional projects. You do avoid interest costs. However, there's limited uses, no equipment. So even with our sinking fund, we cannot currently use that for the purchase of buses, for the purchase of hardware for technology. What does it mean to you financially? Currently, the millage rate is for the schools at 7 mills. It's projected to be out until 2025. Of note, that's based on the existing bond proposals or bonds that we have. Those were initially set when the voters approved the current high school, the Project 2000. Those were set to be out through 2035. And twice the Board of Education over the last several years have refinanced and essentially through that same millage rate been able to eliminate 10 years of millage payments. And I credit them for that foresight and that being efficient. As they noticed that interest rates were improving, they had those opportunities. If passed, the new millage would continue to be 7 mills. However, the projected payoff date would move from 2025 to, I shouldn't say payoff date, the projected date to which the millage rate would start to decline would go from 2025 until 2031. And again, that's based on a projection. We'd like to think that over the next several years there would be an opportunity to again refinance and bring that down into the 2025 range. So effectively, what does it mean for you financially? It really doesn't mean anything for the next 15 years. One way or the other, the rate will be at 7 mills. However, if it were to pass, then we would project that millage rate would remain at 7 mills for an additional 6 years. Questions? I know I burned through it. I told you I'd be brief. Any questions about this proposal?
Does anybody in the audience have any questions? Any council members have any questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for the time. I do
Don't
appreciate
forget to vote, everybody.
Yep, August 3rd is coming up fast.
Okay, now we're moving on the agenda, citizen comment on agenda items under the Open Meetings Act. Any citizen may come forward at this time, make comment or question on items that appear on this agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per person, and the citizen comment period will be limited to a total of 45 minutes. Anyone who would like to speak is requested but not required to state his or her name and address for the record. Is there anyone that would like to speak to anything on the agenda? Okay, we'll move on to the consent agenda. The following consent agenda will normally be adopted without discussion. However, at the request of any citizen or council member, any item may be removed from the consent agenda for council discussion.
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
Move Ivy. Second as well. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Under public hearings, item 1065, applications for available Class C quota liquor license. We need a motion to acknowledge receipt of the July 7, 2010 memo from City Clerk Hill and the accompanying memos from city staff.
Move to acknowledge receipt.
Move Morrow, do we have a second?
Support.
Second Rhodes. All in favor to acknowledge receipt of the July 7th memo from City Clerk Hill, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Is there any discussion on this? I forgot to ask. Any questions for staff? Sorry about that. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? No. Say no. Motion carries. We have a motion to open the public hearing, affording the applicants and public an opportunity to be heard.
Move to open the public hearing.
Move Ivy.
Second.
Second Ping to open the public hearing. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. The public hearing is now open. We have 2 applications from Coffee, etc. We would like to allow 10 minutes per applicant. Is there Amir Gamo? Do you have any comments that you might like to make? If you could come to the microphone because we're recorded.
Both plan to do a presentation.
Well, you're both doing a presentation. Okay. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amir Gamo. I been in the city of Saline business owner for 12 years, Village Party Store and Alpha Wireless. We got the opportunity to apply for a liquor license at the non-established yet restaurant,
Okay.
which is going to be River Cafe, or River Grill, sorry.
Okay.
Basically my brother Ronnie, and known as our secretary, and she's going to be reading a speech for you.
Okay.
As
Great.
if we can.
Thank you for coming in.
Go ahead.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm going to read this statement that we wrote together on why we should get that.
Excuse me?
Okay, I'm just going to read this
Yeah, just
statement.
go into the microphone a little bit. That's good. 'Cause
Better?
you're pretty. That's perfect. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Today, the potential for economic growth in a city is no longer defined merely by its physical size, but by its potential to effectively utilize current space. Although the physicality concept has evolved, prime location within the area has not. As we already know, businesses in high-traffic areas flourish with greater success than those that are not located in prime areas. These businesses, when given the right tools, can not only prosper but can encourage visiting patrons to immerse themselves in what the surrounding businesses have to offer. With increased traffic in these areas, it not only becomes more desirable for business entrepreneurs, but creates a need for the appearance in these areas to follow suit. The beautification strategy may be simple, yet has a powerful impact and is vitally important for swaying consumers' opinions on the city's allure. The River Grill, which is located on the west end of Saline, is one such business that is located in a prime, high-traffic area. Located right on US 12 in the Parkside Plaza, approval of a Class C liquor license would not only give the city more dining options, but a chance to reinvigorate Saline's west side. Located at the heart of Saline's west side, the River Grill surrounding businesses are in the unique position of welcoming incoming travelers and shaping their first impressions of Saline. The River Grill is already actively involved in making sure these impressions are positive. The River Grill has already begun the beautification of Parkside Plaza through a series of improvements which consist of repaving the entire lot, a complete landscape remodel, replacing the current awning, and converting the existing signage to low-voltage LED lighting. We will also be resurfacing the current building and beautifying the monument sign that will surely improve the appearance. These steps will generate additional city funds through the permits that will be applied for. The liquor licensing fee will also provide additional revenue for the city. Identifying, implementing, and funding these improvements to the corridor that make up this side of town will ultimately drive traffic and additional business to this underserviced area. With two well-established businesses in Saline's west side, Alpha Wireless and Village Party Store, the Gommel family is fully immersed and invested in the Saline community. The relationship between the Gommels and the community are further strengthened by their continued support and sponsorship of community events, Little League programs, and varsity athletic programs. Our sense of pride in the community also translates in the way we conduct our businesses. We have a proven track record of responsibility, upholding liquor laws and regulations. We also make sure that our employees are held to and abide by these same standards. We have built a strong relationship in the community and take great pride in being able to enhance what Saline as a community is capable of achieving. In conclusion, if granted a liquor license, we strongly believe that Saline as a community will benefit. It will help drive customers and businesses to the west side to restore and beautify the west side and bring its appearance to mirror Saline as a whole. This will increase the interaction and participation in downtown festivities. Along with these changes, local workers will be needed to facilitate the tasks at hand, which will aid in the local economy. Implementation of these ventures in conjunction with residents and those passing by being able to experience a taste of the River Grill will add to a greater Saline community. Thank you for your time and continued support of our efforts in our hometown, the Gommel family.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions?
I don't, if this is, do we have any questions for the applicant? Mr. Ivy?
Would this be the appropriate time?
I was trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I would have
think-
questions for each applicant.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we should hold off until both have presented.
Yep, I think that would be best. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have Bawako Sushi. Andy. Okay.
Do you need the screen down?
Yes, please.
Tim? Thank you.
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to come in and speak. My name is Bobby Kim. I am a business partner for Biwako Sushi Restaurant, and this
Make
is...
sure this is close to you because you're
Sorry.
spoken.
This is Andy Byung Kwon, the owner and main chef of Biwako Sushi. Again, thank you. All right, so... Okay, for those who are not familiar with Biwako Sushi, I prepared a brief introduction to the restaurant. It was established in 2006. It serves Japanese and Korean cuisine. This restaurant is the first in the Saline community to offer Japanese and Korean cuisine. It provides a unique dining experience for the Saline community. If you're not familiar with the location, it is located on Michigan Avenue and Industrial next to Country Market. Currently, the restaurant employs 3 full-time and 10 part-time. Majority of the staff members are from the Saline community. We have made a consistent effort to recruit from the Saline residents. And what Saline's and what Biwaka serves is not just sushi, as the name states. There's also a bento box, which assortment of different food in it. There's tempura, fish, meat, and also we have marinated beef and teriyaki chicken along with sushi. And also there's bibimbap. It's a Korean dish with a bed of rice underneath and also different meat and vegetables on top. And also your traditional Japanese udon noodle. Okay, over the years, the past 4 years that Biwaka has been open, it has consistently year over year increased in popularity and reputation. And there's two example of two websites that has voted Biwaka Sushi as 95% liked among the top 10 within the 200 restaurants of Ann Arbor area. Yelp.com has given 4 out of 5 stars, second best reviewed sushi restaurant in the 40 that has been reviewed in the Ann Arbor area. Why Biwaka Sushi for liquor license? Well, authentic Japanese Korean cuisine. Has beer is to fine burger, grilled burger. A nice grilled steak is to a nice glass of red wine. Right now, sushi and sake are one. There's been customers that have come as far from Ohio that have turned around and left the restaurant because they didn't have a choice of sushi and wine together. So we've been seeking this liquor license for several years that the establishment has been open, and this is a great opportunity to expand the business with the liquor license. Cultural diversity. We have, as far as I know, this is the only Japanese Korean restaurant in the Saline area, and we want to include a complete Japanese Korean experience with your choice of entrees and with your wine or sake. Is a Japanese rice wine, which customers have sought but could not obtain, and we want to keep the local business local. These customers that have come to Saline Biwaka restaurant have gone elsewhere, which is the closest place, probably Ann Arbor, because they don't have that choice of Japanese Korean cuisine with a complementing alcoholic beverage. And also, people as far as Detroit area, Tecumseh, Milan have come to this area. We want to keep increasing this, rise popularity that Saline also offers Japanese Korean cuisine, your full Japanese Korean cuisine with a complementing alcoholic beverage. And also, we want to serve the community's interest with increasing sales. Will also demand higher manpower. So another chef and other wait staff will be recruited for this task. Short and sweet. Thank you very much. And I'll open up for question and answers.
Thank you. Okay, so we have applicant comments, and now we have public comments. Is there anybody in the public that would like to make comment to either of these applicants? If not, we need a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close.
We have a motion by Mr. Morrow. Do we have a second?
Support.
Support by Mr. Rhodes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The public hearing's now closed. Okay, so this is the first time we've actually ever done this, so bear with me. I guess we're going to take questions for the, oh, that's true, but more than one applicant. Okay. Questions before we have the motion, which I'm not really, sorry, I'm not totally comfortable with that, but because we don't really have a motion. Mr. Ivey, you said you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. We will proceed, although we're not too certain of the procedure, but I do have questions for both applicants. And before I get to Mr. Kwan and his associate, I'd like to have them come to the podium first. But before I do so, I want to preface my questions with a comment or two. I think my colleagues on council would agree that making this decision, it's our purpose to be sure that all liquor outlets meet the high expectations of the Saline community. And I think we all want to see beforehand that there's good evidence that such businesses will be conducted in a lawful manner, a manner that doesn't unreasonably disturb the peace in the city or in our neighborhoods. We certainly don't want our public safety department to have to become a watchdog at yet another location. Although both of the proposed locations are in primarily commercial areas. I trust that the applicants understand that if they are granted the liquor license, that it's going to be their responsibility to make sure that the peace is not disturbed. That being said, I want to thank both applicants for sharing their business plans and thank them both for their interest in serving the Saline community. And if Mr. Kwan, and I didn't catch your associate's name, if you would come to the podium, please, I have 4 or 5 questions for you. Thank you. Are you currently, or have you been in the past, a member of the Saline Area Chamber of Commerce?
Yes. I was a member 06, 7, 8, and 9, not this year.
Not this year. Okay. Now, as I understand it, you've just signed a 5-year lease to open a second location at Woodland Plaza in Ann Arbor. And that is correct?
That's correct.
Do you expect to be applying for a liquor license there?
Actually, we have not planned to apply the liquor license in Ann Arbor.
Mm-hmm. Well, should you be denied the liquor license at the Sauk Trail location here in Saline, is it not likely that you'll focus your future expansion plans in Ann Arbor at that location instead of in Saline?
Well, the new business, I'll make sure, the new restaurant, I have to be there first couple of months, make sure everything's settled down. And the Biwako Sushi, this is my first restaurant, so I'll back to this restaurant, make sure everything's fully operated under 100% control.
Okay. Well, my question, though, is if you don't get the liquor license, are you going to focus on the Ann Arbor location and
No,
Saline phase
still,
out? Or
it doesn't really matter to me whether I have a liquor license or not, but if it's a liquor license, the Saline locations get granted a liquor license, it'll be much better. But will be still my focus is more on the Saline locations.
Okay. I have 2 more questions.
Yes.
Thank you for your patience in the matter. In Section 2, items 1 through 6 of your application, you state you plan to spend $30,000 to $40,000 to renovate the Sauk Trail location if you're granted the license.
That's correct.
But in item 12, where we ask you to list any plans that the City Council might consider and take into account in considering your application, you haven't said anything about renovation, nor did you say anything about adding the second location. So I'm a little confused about that.
Once we get granted a liquor license, because I already talked to my couple of construction people, the general contractor, and I asked them how much does it cost to remodel this restaurant, because we have to put the new bars and new the dispenser systems, the plumbing, electricity, and that's why I put the 32 or 40,000.
So you're not talking about adding an adjacent unit to the Sauk Trail location. You're just talking about renovating the current location that you have.
Yes.
Okay.
Interior renovation.
Let me ask you this, sir. What are the steps that you propose to take to ensure that no liquor is sold to people who are underage or who are intoxicated?
Well, of course, everyone will be carded. Ask for ID when someone comes to order alcohol, and also he has been very well trained for not serving if you recognize someone as being is under the influence or intoxicated.
We'll make sure that the people who's going to serve the liquor, they will be certified. There is a program, it's a training program. We'll make sure to put in the training program. And also we have action plans for the liquor license, serving the liquor license plans. Doesn't really matter whether they're, because we have a couple of the wait staff, they are 17. because I understand that, they cannot involve with any other process of serving the liquor license. So we are very much aware of those plans and procedures.
I appreciate those answers. Thank you, gentlemen. I have no further questions of this applicant, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there any further questions for this applicant? Thank you. You still have
May I proceed with the next applicant, which is Mr. Gamo and his associates? Mr. Gamo, will you be speaking for the group?
My brother will be speaking.
Your brother?
Yes.
And your name, sir?
Ronnie Gammo.
Ronnie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Ronnie. I have 4 or 5 questions. First of all is, have you, in your current business, which is the Saline Village Party Store, been a member of the Chamber of Commerce currently or in the past?
Yes. In the past.
In the past?
Yes.
Okay.
The Alpha Wireless, we are continuously a member. At one of our locations, we're continuously.
At Alpha Wireless, yeah. I'm afraid Alpha Wireless, I didn't see that mentioned in the application. Maybe I missed that, but
I'm sorry, it was just mentioned one of our businesses on that same end of town.
We do have 2 businesses. We have the Alpha Wireless and the liquor license, which I listed the liquor license to be
Establishments.
Okay.
the liquor establishment.
right.
Yes.
It was new to me when the young lady mentioned Alpha Wireless. I was a little bit turned around. As to your plans with the River Grill, I hope you can clarify the intended hours of operation. I'm looking at your application. It says 9 a.m. until 2 a.m. Monday through Saturday. Yet the menu that you've supplied as an attachment states 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. Monday through Thursday.
Yes, sir. Our establishment started as a coffee house, and then moving forward from a coffee house, that's when we decided to go into more dining and Mediterranean as well as American food.
This I understand, Ronnie. I'm just
Yes.
trying to get at what hours of operation to make a
Hours
big
of-
difference if you're going to be open from midnight to 2 a.m. as far as how that might affect our community.
Our hours of operations were just basically opening till 10 p.m.
10 p.m.
Yes, for
Okay.
being a restaurant. And the area basically dies off around that time.
And Friday and Saturday would be
Till midnight.
midnight?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but you state the location is in the Parkside Plaza, 699, is it? West
sir.
Michigan. That's between the Subway shop?
It's
And
right next to
the
the subway.
laundromat?
Yes.
Well, personally, I don't think that's a real favorable location for the type of business you're proposing, but be that as it may, I wonder if there were any alternatives that you have or would consider to that location.
At the moment, we haven't had any other, we didn't take that into consideration, being that we're in between the 2 businesses. But we don't, if it was the case, we could find other arrangements.
And Mr. Gamma, what are the steps, or Ronnie, what are the steps that you propose to take to ensure that no liquor is served to minors or to those that are intoxicated?
Sir, I've been in this business for all my life, over 20 years, and I haven't had any problems. I usually card people, I turn people away that are intoxicated. We've been tried many times with the local government when they've sent in decoys, and we've done pretty well in the past. We've never had too many problems with that. I assure you, my staff will be carding and monitoring anybody that's in our establishment that is close to intoxication. Our purpose is basically to provide a nice dining and a liquor establishment on the west end of town, which we have none at the moment.
Well, thank you very much for your answers.
Yes, sir. Thank
I
you.
appreciate that very much. No further questions, Mayor.
Excuse me, 1 second.
I
Mr.
have
Lowe?
one following up on one of the questions Mr. Ivey was asking concerning the location. What prompted you to move to that location? You mentioned, I think, at the end that there is no such restaurant in that area. Is that why you moved there, or you decided to go there?
I'm sorry, one more time.
Why did you decide to relocate or to locate in that area of the city?
Our businesses are in that area. We kind of like want to bring more businesses to that area, especially dining. I myself work in that area over 30, 40 hours, maybe 50 hours a week, and there's really nothing that that desires me to like eat in the area. Subway, I mean, Subway you can eat once or twice a week. The fast food joints on the east side of town, and just adding more into our area. We spend a lot of time in that area between we're a family business, so we have another partner and brother that we all basically work together, and so that's why I figured like it would be nice to have a nice environment. We do have the right parking for it, and we have a lot of clients in the area also.
The young lady mentioned that you're making some improvements to the area, that you're working, and that's one of the concerns that staff raised, that it was not really up to snuff, if you will. So when are those? You said those improvements are going to be taking place, and when do you anticipate those going?
The improvements have already been taking place. We resurfaced the whole parking lot. We work with the landlord. We have a very close relationship with the landlord. We repainted the building, put new awnings there. We're redoing all the planning and just making it a nice. We're bringing in better signage, better lighting, more softer lighting, and efficient. Kind of like stay green, not waste not so much. So that's what we're trying to do, and this is all at our own expense. I mean, the landlord owns the plaza, and he has multiple plazas, and he spends a lot of time in Florida. So we basically overlook most of the tenants in that plaza. Look up to us to solve any problems that they incur.
Thank you.
Any other questions for this applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and adopt the resolution that the request from blank for the available Class C quota license in the city of Saline be considered for approval above all others, and that is the consensus of the Saline City Council that the application of blank be recommended for issuance of the Class C quota license and the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, subject to the applicant entering into an agreement with the city of Saline as submitted, and to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the agreement after review and approval of the city attorney, and that agreement be forwarded to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission, or a motion not to approve the issuance of the available Class C quota license to either applicant. Do we have a motion?
Mayor, I would like to move that we approve and adopt the resolution from Bawako Sushi to be considered for approval, and to authorize the mayor and clerk to execute said agreement with them.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Ivy, second by Ping for the Bawako application. Discussion. Ms. Ping.
I just want to say that I appreciate both applications, and last time we did this, it was a while ago, but it was between a local business owner and a franchise owner who lives in the state of Michigan but isn't really invested in our community, and we chose the bigger franchise, and the smaller restaurant's no longer in our community. And I don't know if the liquor license would have made a difference for him, but I appreciate that you're both locally invested in our community. I have leaned towards Bawako only because they've been in business, and I know that for a very long time you've been hoping that a liquor license would come available, so you've sort of been, I guess, waiting patiently for almost 4 years. So that's my primary reason for supporting this motion, and hopefully with the census there'll be another one available shortly. So thank you.
Further discussion, Mr. Rhodes?
My comments are similar to Councilmember Ping's. I was torn between the two organizations. I would like to see more activity on the west end of Saline, and certainly a liquor license in the proposed River Grill would have helped with that. On the other hand, also understand Barako Sushi has been waiting for a while, and so I will vote in favor of this motion and hope that another license becomes available soon for someone like yourself on the west end of town. Thank you.
Mr. Ivy?
Yes, I found it difficult in the consideration and deliberation of both applications. And I think it's a very noble cause and gesture to want to bring something to that side of town that would be different and that would help attract other people and other businesses. And I commend you for that. I guess the bottom line is, in weighing both locations, I believe that the location at the Sauk Trail Plaza is going to be easier for the community to accept. And I really don't think that the location that you've chosen, I mean, take no offense, but I don't think that is a good location for what you propose to do, and that's why I've opted to move that we accept Bawasho Suki. But no hard feelings. Thank you.
Mr. Long?
Well, I, with all respect, disagree with my fellow council member, Mr. Ivy. I think the west side is in need of such a facility, and with the liquor license will enhance that. I think the west side has been, I won't say neglected, but has been, I don't know, it's starving for something, and I think that this application that was put forward by this group was a good one, and nothing against, obviously, Barako Sushi over there at the east side. I hate to say that's an east side, west side thing, because that's what it seems to be. But that's what it is. But I don't support the motion. I wish both applicants very well, obviously. I know that Ruby Tuesday already has their liquor license. There's activity out there. There's a restaurant that's active that I'm sure with Ruby Tuesdays there's maybe some spillover into your restaurant and vice versa. I'm not sure, but there's always that possibility. Out in the west side, there's nothing. And Jets left, and so, and they moved out east on the east side. So I will not be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Mr. Moore?
Since everyone else spoke, I might as well. I will, with regret, be supporting this motion. I would add, or I should have probably prefaced by saying, I have a philosophical and fundamental disagreement with the way the state allocates liquor licenses. In an ideal world, I would have liked to have approved both tonight if we had the capability and right to do that. But I appreciate your commitment and your investment in the Saline community over the past several years. And I would state publicly that if another liquor license became available, I would certainly be amenable to granting one to your enterprise. And I appreciate you for making an investment in the western side of our city. As my council colleague here, Mr. Law, noted, it's about time. So again, I will be voting in favor of this motion, but with some regret. Thank you, Mayor.
Sure. And I also would support this motion, mostly, I think, because I also was aware of the ongoing business nature of the current restaurant, and I know that you have several businesses on the west side, and we wholeheartedly support your investment in anything that we can do that's in our control. I think also that we do have a business development association that possibly we could get more involved with, your efforts and trying to do some coordination, because there has been some plans for the west side that could do some future work too. But I also would agree with my colleagues that it puts us in a really difficult position because we are limited with the availability of these liquor licenses that are free. There are some resort licenses that are available for purchase. So at any rate, I appreciate both of your applications, and we both want to support both businesses. So thank you. We have a motion on the floor. Is there further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Under unfinished business, item 1070, the Michigan Main Street Program Associate Level Agreement. This is a motion to acknowledge receipt of the July 6, 2010 memo from City Manager Campbell to authorize or not authorize the City Manager to execute the Michigan Main Street Program Community Requirements and Expectations Agreement, Associate Level, as submitted for the city's participation in the Michigan Main Street Program.
So moved. To authorize.
Second.
Move Rhodes, second Ping. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item under new business 1008, application for transfer of Class C list license to the 107 Group Incorporated. This is a motion to acknowledge receipt of the July 7, 2010 memo from City Clerk Hill and the local approval notice dated May 11, 2010 from the Michigan Local Control Commission to approve and adopt or not adopt the resolution as submitted recommending approval of the transfer of ownership of the escrow 2009 Class C licensed business located at 103-105-107 West Michigan Avenue, Saline, Michigan, from the Saline Chop House Incorporated with Sunday sales permit.
A move to approve and adopt.
Second.
Morrow, second Payne. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 1009, this is a 2010 Cobalt Community Research Survey. This would be a motion to acknowledge receipt of the July 6, 2010 memo from City Manager Campbell to authorize or not authorize contracting with Cobalt Community Research to conduct a community survey for 2010 at an estimated annual cost of $12,550 for survey type A, to authorize or not authorize the mayor and clerk to execute the agreement for research with Cobalt Community Research after review and approval by the city attorney.
Move to authorize and authorize.
Second.
Move Payne, second Ivy. To authorize. Discussion. Mr. Morrow.
Thank you, Mayor. I will be opposing this motion, item 10-109, not because I think that a community survey is valuable and not because I think that Cobalt Incorporated isn't a wonderful company that does great work, but rather because I don't think it's warranted that we do a community survey every 2 years. And I disagree with the theory that states we send the survey out to registered voters and not do the survey at random. Now, don't misconstrue what I say. I certainly believe in getting perspectives and insights from the citizens, from our constituents, from the people we represent, and I favor doing these in the future. But again, I don't like the timing of this, and I don't like the approach. So again, I will be opposing this motion. Thank you.
Further discussion. Mr. Locke.
With all due respect to my fellow council member, I disagree. I think when we did one 2 years ago, we used it as a basis for planning and for finding out what the residents thought of certain issues and capital improvement projects and the like. And 2 years ago, things were, I guess, maybe some would argue, not that different, but really it is different economically. While people may have not left the city in droves, the economic situations may have and likely have changed quite a bit for many people in the city. And to hear from them at this time, I think, is important, and to give us that 2-year cushion where we could look at the 08 survey and then look at the one that's coming up this year and sort of draw comparisons. I'm not against the idea of going after a longer period of time, like maybe for 3 or 4 years after this one. But I think just for the sake of getting a direct comparison between 08 and having a nice 2-year cushion between the two surveys, I think is ideal.
Further discussion on this motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Item 110, request to abandon part of storm sewer easement at 118 East Michigan Avenue. This is a motion to acknowledge receipt of the June 24th, 2010 memo from City Superintendent Engineer Rubel and the May 18th, 2010 letter from Mark Eby of Eby, Connor, Smiley, and Bork, PLLC, to approve and adopt or not adopt the resolution to abandon part of storm sewer as submitted to abandon and vacate part of an old storm sewer easement which runs under the building located at 118 East Michigan Avenue.
Move to approve and adopt.
I'll second.
Move Rhodes. Second Ivy. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for sitting through our meeting. our motion to acknowledge receipt of the July 7, 2010 memo opinion from Attorney Grossman on Village Marketplace and Lofts. That's item 0646.
Move to acknowledge receipt.
Second.
Rhodes, you have a second?
Second.
Second, Ping. Mr. Grossman, would you like to report on your opinion, please?
Certainly, the opinion consists of two letters, basically. In my letter of March 22nd, 2010, I pointed out that on or about August 9th, 2006, the Concannon Company was issued a building permit by the city for demolition of 3 existing structures with demo permit requirements attached, which in part provide item 9, all concrete slabs, footings, and foundations shall be removed from site unless approval is granted otherwise by the building department. If areas where footings and foundations have been removed are to be left open when the site is not manned, then each area where an open hole exists will be required to be fenced. Item 11, any damage to city streets, sidewalks, curbs, or other city property will be repaired by the contractor. Item 13, upon completion, it shall be the contractor/bar owner's responsibility to fill and grade the lot to conform with established street grades and adjoining property and provide proper drainage. If steep grades exist, soil stabilization will be required. On or about January 24th, 2007, Michael J. Concannon filed with the city an application for land use development describing his proposed use of the subject land and naming the owner as the owner of the project, the Village Marketplace plus Lofts LLC. Pursuant to the demo permit and preliminary site plan, Mr. Concannon demolished the existing structures on the subject land, but failed to comply with the demo permit requirements as above set forth. By a letter dated February 19th, 2010, Mr. Concannon informed the city that the failure of banks to loan money to him and his projected tenants, quote, effectively kills the project, unquote, and makes it very difficult, if not impossible, for him to complete his site remediation obligations. On March 1st, 2010, the City Council acknowledged the expiration of Mr. Concannon's final site plan and special land use approval on recommendation of the Saline City Planning Commission. By failure to complete his site remediation obligations while his final site plan approval was pending, Mr. Concannon is in violation of his certificate of zoning ordinance compliance, which in part reads as follows. Zoning section 3.03, certificate of zoning ordinance compliance, it shall be unlawful to change the type of use of land or to change the type of use or type of occupancy of any building or to extend any use on any lot until the zoning code inspector has issued a certificate of zoning ordinance compliance and or certificate of occupancy. Zone section 3.07 provides as follows: uses of land, buildings, or structures converted in violation of this article are hereby declared to be a nuisance per se and shall be considered a municipal civil infraction and shall be subject to all processes thereof. MCLA 600.2940 provides that, quote, all claims based on or to abate nuisance may be brought in the circuit court. The circuit court may grant injunctions to stay and prevent nuisance. The circuit courts have jurisdiction to abate nuisances, especially those affecting the health, morals, or safety of the community. However, it is the policy of the courts to tailor the remedy to the problem and, where possible, to abate the nuisance without completely destroying legitimate activity. In other words, the courts perform a balancing test on that issue. By statute, jurisdiction is expressly conferred on the circuit court to enjoin a nuisance, but the jurisdiction of the circuit court apparently has not been enlarged or extended as a result. The statute further provides that a plaintiff who prevails in a private nuisance action may obtain both damages and abatement unless the court deems abatement unnecessary. The statute also provides that the costs of abating the nuisance are to be paid by the defendant and may be collected by execution, but the statute is silent regarding liens or priorities. In other words, it's silent regarding a lien for the cost of abatement on the property. And when I say it's silent, I mean there's nothing in the statute that explicitly provides for that, making it iffy as to whether it exists. I'm advising you that a money judgment in such a case as this may not be collectible. Before commencement of any action in this type of case, it is my recommendation that the city deliver to Mr. Concannon a list of site remediation actions which he must complete within a reasonable time period in order to avoid legal action. And then I cite to see and attach the case of Ypsilanti Fire Marshal and City of Ypsilanti versus David Kircher, our neighbor to the east, which has similar characteristics to this case. Now, in accordance with the recommendation that I made in my letter of March 22nd, 2010, Mr. Rubel prepared a letter to Mr. Concannon dated April 8th, 2010, which requested that Mr. Concannon submit a remediation plan to the city by May 5th, 2010, and complete site remediation improvements by July 1st, 2010. A copy of that letter is attached to my opinion. It's my understanding that no remediation plan has been submitted and no site remediation improvements have been completed. That, I think, should be amended. I understand that there were some cutting of weeds. That's the only thing I know of.
That's correct.
Is that correct?
Plus, city manager report on contact with developer when you're done.
Okay. I conclude that Mr. Concannon is now using his land in violation of item 1, in violation of the demo permit requirements of his building permit, which I read to you a few moments ago, and were set forth in my letter of March 22nd, 2010. Item 2, the provisions of zoning code section 5.16, which provide as follows, quote, the use of land for storage, collection, accumulation of new or used building materials, new or used household items, auto parts, and other used materials, or for the dumping or disposal of broken concrete, scrap iron, junk, garbage, rubbish, or other refuse, or for ashes, slag, or other industrial waste or byproducts, shall be strictly prohibited in all districts. Item 3, the provisions of zoning code section 7.11 provide as follows, quote, existing hazards or potential hazards and nuisances such as construction sites, junkyards, landfills, sanitary landfills, demolition sites, which of course is directly in point in this case, unused basements, abandoned wells, or cisterns, and sand, gravel, and stone pits or piles are to be enclosed by suitable fencing or barriers so as not to endanger public health, safety, and welfare. Wells or cisterns shall be closed in accordance with section 38-200 of the City Code. Item 4, the provisions of zoning code 3.07 provide as follows, quote, uses of land, buildings, or structures converted in violation of this article are hereby declared to be a nuisance per se and shall be considered a municipal civil infraction and shall be subject to all processes thereof. In conclusion, the city may file a claim to abate nuisance in circuit court, which may grant injunctions to stay and prevent nuisances as authorized by MCL 600.2940, or the city may file a claim to abate nuisance in district court, which has equitable jurisdictions and authority concurrent with that of the circuit court to, quote, hear and decide claims based on nuisance or abate nuisances under Section 2940. I would be happy to meet with you and discuss this matter further. If there's any questions, I would like to try to answer them.
Before we do that, I'd like Mr. Kimball to report out on any contact we've had with the developer since, I would say since Mr. Rule's letter in April.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We've had very little, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Rubel, city engineer, is here as well, but we've had communications a couple times with the site manager for Mr. Kincannon, Mr. Richard Bailey. Mainly it's been because the weeds, as the city attorney Grossman referred to earlier, where we've asked them to cut the weeds down, and they've done most of that. But as far as any response to the letter from Gary, dated April 8th, we have not heard anything. We recently, again, as the July 1st date has come and gone, prior to that, Gary Rubel, myself, and City Attorney Grossman met to discuss, because July 1st was around the corner, next steps, and also to exacerbate issues. We had not been in contact with them. We were hoping to be able to say we had contacted, had a meeting and discussion with Mr. Kincannon in preparation for this meeting. Our attempts have not been successful. We did try a number of times to contact him. Last week, my office did so. My administrative assistant, Ms. Myra, she made contact with him, and he essentially said, well, I've been out of town, but we did attempt. We had an office phone as well as a cell phone number. Utilized both of those, left several messages, and when he did return the message, inquired about setting up a time, and he said he would have to get back to her. Then I had her return the contact to let him know that this was in fact going to be considered and be talked about tonight. And she left a message to that effect. Then our city clerk, Ms. Hill, contacted him today out of courtesy to let him know this was on the agenda, and not a very positive response is my understanding. Said that this was the first he'd heard of it, and he would not be here because he didn't have proper time to prepare. Ms. Hill reminded him of conversation with and messages from Ms. Myra, which we ended up transferring to Ms. Myra, and discussed and asked for some dates, and he essentially, his response was, well, just give me some dates and I'll see if I can make it. And that's essentially the conversations we've had with Mr. Kincannon.
Okay. Questions, counsel, for either city attorney or city manager? Mr. Rhodes?
On the July 7th letter from Mr. Grossman, item number 3, where it talks about zoning code section 711, it seems with the placement of the fence around that property that item might well be considered to be satisfied and not be an open issue. And then the other thing, I just wondering, what are the pros and cons of either working through the circuit court or the district court?
The state law has specifically granted to the district court concurrent or the same jurisdiction as it is granted to the circuit court. So there really is no difference. Legally, there may be a practical difference depending on how crowded the circuit court docket is as opposed to how crowded the district court docket is. Generally speaking, things move faster in district court than they do in circuit court, one of the reasons being that state law requires circuit courts, which handle criminal matters, requires them to give priority to criminal matters. And so criminal matters pending in circuit court are always under the pressure of those state-required priorities that they be handled first, whereas district court doesn't have that same problem. So the only difference I can see is that there might be a quicker decision if we proceeded in district court than if we proceeded in circuit court. However, I will say that we really ultimately have not much choice on that. I have had cases that I've filed in circuit court where the circuit court judge promptly signed an order referring them back to the district court because he was too busy to handle them. And so it could go the other way too. We could file in district court and have the district court sign an order sending the matter back to the circuit court. I don't know that that will happen, but that could happen. So I don't think there is a great deal of difference except time. As the Kircher case, which I attached and you can read at your leisure sometime, it points out there is some question as to what you can get in this kind of action. If you get an order to abate the nuisance, but the person or entity that you're ordering to do something is insolvent, you have an order that is a nice piece of paper. So there is that problem, but that problem exists in all litigation. So if you want to do anything to get court sanctions at least ordered, and I say that because I don't want to promise any success, but in terms of getting anything done, frankly, although if we get circuit or district court orders to abate the nuisance, it might help in getting things cleaned up. I can't promise that, but it might help.
And there's no inherent limitation in dollar value that could be awarded by either one of those district courts?
No. As a matter of fact, the equity jurisdiction granted to district court by that statute gives them jurisdiction over and above the 10,000, I believe it is. I think it's higher than that now. It was, district court did have a limitation of 10,000. But that is superseded by the equity jurisdiction to abate nuisances and order injunctions to enjoin behavior that is dangerous to the health, safety, and welfare of the public.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Grossman.
Mr. Morrow?
I actually had the same question as Mr. Rhodes. Thank you, though, Mayor.
Mr. Love?
Alan, Mr. Grossman, I should say, would you say that Mr. Rhodes brought up the question about the fence around the area? Would you say that is suitable, that a judge or a court would look at that and say, yeah, that's okay, it's not pretty, it's not necessarily sturdy, but it serves a purpose? I beg to differ, but anyway, I'm not a court or judge.
Well, no, I would not agree with Mr. Rhodes on that. Simply by viewing it myself, I would say that some improvements could be made to that fence. I think that a court undoubtedly would order, with little difficulty, would grant a prayer by us that the fence be not only constructed, but be maintained in a proper manner. And that fence, as I look at it when I drive past, is not, it needs some work. It has some areas where it's leaning and does not look as it should. I think the court would grant some relief on that. I could be wrong, but that's just my guess. I certainly would ask for it. I mean, if you want me to file something in either circuit court or district court, one of the things I will ask for is that the fence be brought up to good condition and maintained that way, as long as necessary.
Do you have further questions?
No.
Ms. Payne?
Thank you. I'm sure that we've all received similar complaints. The most recent complaint that I received is the stagnant water, and if there's something that we can do to at least treat it for mosquitoes, that would be I think, that and the fence. However, I think that Mr. Concanon has only shown contempt and disrespect to our staff and to our citizens by allowing that property to stay the way that it is. And if he's true to his colors, if we file suit, he will probably file countersuit for something in order to delay the process. With that being said, it's my opinion that we file suit immediately for full remediation and also ask for a money judgment. I mean, I think we should ask for everything that we want, and then depending on what comes back, we can, adjust what we want to do, what we have the money to do, and then hope that the judge will also grant that we can either put a lien on the property or that, somehow we will be able to get our money back at the time the property is developed or sold. So, thank you.
Mr. Law?
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we file a claim to abate the nuisance in district court.
Well, we still have a motion on the floor about acknowledging receipt, so let's...
Okay.
Are we splitting them?
Discussion. Yeah, I just stopped it because I wanted to
Okay.
give everybody a
So
chance
anxious.
to make comment. So, did you... Okay, sorry, Mr. Rhodes.
Just wanted to clarify my earlier comment about the question about the fencing around the site. I wasn't taking the position that I thought the existing fencing was adequate, but asking for an opinion as to whether or not the court might consider it to be adequate, and Mr. Grossman answered that in a later statement. So, thank you.
So I had a question. So we go to court, and is there a way that the city can resolve, like, how we finally put the sidewalk in because he wouldn't do it for months and months and months, and we put a lien on his property for that? Could we, as part of the court request, if we don't receive a monetary, is there a way that we can make some of these, like, fill that hole in and put a lien on the property for that as part of this? Because, going to court, he's not going to have the money. I don't see that. I'm not opposed. I certainly agree with Ms. Ping. I think, we've been very anxiously awaiting the day to get through the legal process so that it would be, a very positive effort in court. But at the same time, if he doesn't have any money, and, I don't see, it's just going to continue to go on. So is there a way, as part of that, as saying in our complaint, or can we say, well, if it's not resolved by the developer within a certain period of time, the city has the right, as a health and safety issue, to clean up that site and put a lien on the property for the work that we do on the property? That's what we've been trying to get to since last year.
The answer to the first part of your question is yes, and the answer to the second part is no. By that I mean, if we file a petition requesting an order to abate a nuisance, it is my prediction that we would get an order to abate issued by the court. Once an order to abate the nuisance is granted by the court, we would have that authority to move in and take action on the property itself. In fact, the Kircher case that's cited here, you'll see, points out that one of the things that Mr. Kircher said was, well, you can't come in and tear this house down that had been on fire twice. You can't come in and tear this down because it would be a taking of my property without due process of law. And the court said that that's not so. Once it's been declared a nuisance, then it has to go. Now, as to the issue of could we place a lien on the property that's collectible for the cost of doing something, that's up in the air, and that's much more dubious.
That's what you're saying.
That's what I'm saying. So, yes, we could get an order to do it, but where the money's coming from and how we get the money is that's a problem in any litigation, of course.
Okay. Is there further questions? Oh, right now we have a motion on the floor just to acknowledge receipt of the opinion. Further discussion? Mr. Law.
Just a question. Mr. Grossman, would you anticipate how long it might take to get that sort of an abatement or that order? I know you said it depends on the docket that they have in district court and how full that may be, but have you got any inclination as to how long we could get that order if it were approved in our favor?
I would hesitate to. It's like betting on at a horse race. I mean,
I know it's putting maybe an unfair question on you, but
I really don't know. It's up to the court docket, and I don't keep the docket or have any control over it.
I understand.
So we appear in court when we're told to. And that's about it.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to acknowledge receipt of our legal opinion. If there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye to acknowledge receipt.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Do we have a motion? Mr. Law, you said you wanted to...
Well, unless Ms. Ping wants, but
You've been anxious to do this for a long time, so...
No, I don't do this with any great glee, trust me. Anyway, I'll put the motion on and then I'll speak to it when I feel it. I move, Mayor, that that the city file a claim to abate the nuisance in district court who have the marketplace and loft site remediated, and however wording you want to add to that, Mr. Grossman, that would be, I'm sure, satisfactory to me and hopefully to council.
Can you add that we also ask for a money judgment or that we're allowed to lien the property in that suit?
We'll probably say something and to seek all relief to which we are entitled.
Okay, thank you.
To which we're legally entitled. And certainly, that would be, we would certainly seek an order to reimburse us. And by the way, we would also add that the order include reimbursement of the $10,000 or $12,000 that the city advanced for the temporary sidewalk on Michigan Avenue.
So that goes in the motion, Mr. Grossman?
It'll be in the petition.
The petition, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's read the motion that the mover made, and then we'll look for a second.
Mr. Law moved that the city file a claim to abate the nuisance in district court, and that we seek all relief that the city is legally
To which we are
entitled to.
entitled, yeah.
Do we want to say what the address is or anything like that? Does that need to be in that motion?
Marketplace and loft site on West Michigan. Or Michigan.
Okay.
I mean, I know it's under this, actually, but, all right.
I don't think it's necessary.
Okay.
The Village Marketplace plus Lofts LLC is a site plan. We approved a preliminary site plan for it. So it's a plan.
But right now, the motion doesn't
Where'd Mr. Rubel
reference the location.
Yeah. Mr. Rubel, we have a site plan for the Village Marketplace plus Lofts and LLC, don't we? Preliminary site plan. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, it has an address too?
I added that.
Okay, so we have the address in the motion, just for clarification.
But we have to remember it includes the gas station, too.
Ms. Pink, we need a second on this motion before we can
Second.
start discussion. Okay, Ms. Pink?
I would hope that we would also be able to ask for legal fees. I know that Mr. Grossman's on retainer for the city, but I think we're charged separately for court time and this sort of thing, so I'd like to ask.
Under the relief.
We would ask for that, too.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Ivey?
Question of timeliness. I think when Ms. Ping first conceived this, it was immediately that you had proposed that we file. And I don't see anything about timeliness in the motion, do you?
Well, I don't think that's, I think the intent.
Do we
is
need
do
to
it
state that, or can we just let it speak for itself?
It'll be as soon as possible. Actually, much of the work's done. I mean, I have files.
That's what we've been doing, is preparing the capability to file a successful claim.
Yeah.
Documenting, and so we are now in a position to file a successful claim. Sad to say, but maybe something positive will come out of this, hopefully. Any other discussion on this motion?
We have a motion on the floor, then.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Mr. Law.
Okay. As I said, I don't take any great joy in moving this motion. I assume with the most of the rest of the council, I'm speaking obviously to myself, feel that the city now must take the step. It's been too long. We've been patient. We've been, as Mr. Campbell's been saying, we've been leaving messages, trying to get in contact with Mr. Concanon and get things moving along. I'm not going to say anything I'm going to regret, so I'm going to just leave it and say that you got to walk before you can run. And I think that the city is at the point where we can't just sit still and do nothing. So that's all I'm going to say.
Okay, is there further? Ms. Pink?
Just one more thing. I'm sure staff and Mr. Grossman will have thought of this already, but if we can only try to communicate with Mr. Grossman, or Mr. Concanon, because I'm sure that one of his responses will be that his employees have no authority to make decisions or communicate on his behalf. So if we can only communicate either by leaving voicemails directly on his private number or through certified mail or something to that effect, I think that will help cover the city more thoroughly. Thank you.
Further discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion items, commission committee reports from council members? No, none? Reports or other announcements? Well, I'll do, since Mr. Little's not here, the Celtic Festival is this week. Starting Thursday night with Max is having a special dinner, Celtic related, and Friday night there's events down at the park, and also Saturday, all day Saturday. And there's, as I mentioned in the State of the City, there's tickets on sale, advanced tickets on sale at a discount, and get on the website, it shows all the locations, but most of the downtown urchins, around town people. So, since he's not here.
And Mayor, apparently we are, as a council, participating in the parade.
Oh, right, there's a parade. Sure, sorry.
That's all right.
I know there's a ton of activities, that's why I tried not to outline it in my State of the City, because I knew I'd forget something. It's just easier to get on the website and see what's going on. Ms. Ping?
I just want to remind council that the 17th is the Senior Center annual summer picnic and 35th anniversary. So it's at the Senior Center. It's a lot to good celebrating with the seniors.
Is that the 17th?
The 17th at 11:30. Is that right, Mr. Rhodes? Do you know?
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it actually starts a bit earlier than that, but
The Senior Center elections are that day too, and the polls will be open all day for their board.
Oh, right.
I think they'd like us to RSVP to in advance if we plan on attending.
Okay, any other reports or announcements? I handed out a picture that came in our May-June monthly planner, that I'm on the Planning Commission, of a sign that says Bainbridge shares the road, and We, as council knows, we have been working diligently on making our community more walkable and bikeable by doing a non-motorized plan, and we're currently got a grant to do a complete streets ordinance and some planning initiatives for that. And so I, actually at the PUPS meeting, we talked with Jeff, our DPW director, about trying to find some money in the grant program to do some signs at our gateways using this logo, but not call it Bainbridge and call it Saline. And we talked about changing the horse to a tractor. So I just wanted to bring this forward to council so you could sort of see the concept and let me know what you think about it. We haven't identified a funding source, but when we get to that place, I will let you know.
What's the approximate cost?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I forgot to bring this to the meeting, so David asked me to bring it today so that people could see it visually, but I have to get it over to, actually, Mr. Campbell, could you pass this on to Jeff so that he could look at it? I think he gets this document too anyhow, so I think he knew about it. Are there any other discussion items? If not, we excuse Mr. Little, so under public comment under the Open Meetings Act, any citizen may come forward at this time and make comment or question to the City Council. This public comment period will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Anyone who would like to speak is requested but not required to state his or her name and address for the record.
My name is James Roth. I live at 186 Anwood Court, and I would like to thank all the council members, city staff that agonized over the possible purchase of the Union School. I am deeply disappointed that an opportunity's been lost and the community has lost to private ownership, something that's been the heart of the city for ever since the city existed. So it's gone. I think that real estate would have been something very valuable to the citizens, even though it was owned and passed on to the school district, and it was owned by the city schools, then passed on through consolidations to the present Saline area schools. And we had an opportunity to take over the possession of such. I think it's a great loss to all the citizens of Saline and all the future. So it's a historical site, monument, place, and could have solved a lot of the proposed resolutions, and the price could have never been any cheaper than at the present time. It's too bad economy has defeated us. Thanks again for all your agonizing thoughts and so on. I was only hoping that the citizens would have had a chance for some input before it happened. Thank you.
Is there other citizen comment? I'd just like to clarify there was no offer, to my knowledge, from the schools to the city to purchase the city building. So I just wanted to clarify that because that could be a very big misunderstanding. And I don't know, Mr. Campbell, if you'd like to clarify that, but to my knowledge, there was never a formal offer at any price, to my knowledge.
That's correct. There was no formal offer. That's correct.
Is there any other citizen comments? If not, do we have any other business come before the Saline City Council? Our next meeting is, did you want to say something? Our next meeting is July 19th at 7:30 p.m., and we did a motion to excuse Mr. Little. We have a motion to adjourn at 9:15.
Move to adjourn.
Ivy, second Morrow. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. 2, 3, 1, 3. Okay, thank you.